continue. So Mike Rossouw, who's the CEO of the Independent Energy Thought Leaders, says Eskom is in a worse shape than ever. He says South Africans should ready themselves for more load shedding for much longer. So Rossouw says the government has to make some politically tough decisions or Eskom will collapse, taking the economy with it. Mike Rossouw joins me now live. Mr. Rossouw, very good evening to you. Thanks indeed for your time. So explain to me, are we in a worse off situation than what we're being led to believe?
Yes, we are worse off than ever before. So to give you an example, if your car has been not maintained and you have a lot of problems with everything, the engine, the mechanics, everything, you can't fix that car overnight. It's going to take many sessions with the garage and a lot of money. This is the case with the power stations. They are in dire need of major overhauls and major maintenance. It cannot be fixed overnight. And to your point, the state of the power stations today is worse than it's ever been.
Mr. Rossouw, I've always wondered, why does it seem like there's no political leadership on Eskom's woes? They've not been able to keep the lights on, even during a very important democratic process like the elections just a couple of days ago. Why does there not seem to be any political will, or even those at the helm of Eskom being held to account over what we're seeing taking place at the moment? All we get as the general population is that things are going to get better, they will try their best, but there doesn't seem to be any political will to deal with the Eskom crisis once and for all.
The reality is that the politicians do not understand. They have not a clue what's going on in Eskom. And even worse, neither does the board. They have not a clue what's going on. So they're all living in hope and prayers that things will come right, and it just won't come right by just dreaming. But politicians, quite frankly, from the president all the way down and the board, they are dreaming. Nobody's taking the appropriate action. And as I said, serious things have to be done which are politically not palatable, and the board has to get to the reality. So the first thing is, they have to understand exactly what's going on. And quite frankly, between you and I, they have not a clue what's going on.
From what you're saying, there clearly isn't any light at the end of the tunnel. What needs to be done to keep the lights on? You speak about infrastructure that is really ailing. Why did it even take so long for us to get to this particular crisis where we're being told that the infrastructure is simply failing? And why was this not red flagged in the beginning when this had been picked up? Why did it take so long for there to be processes put in place to try and rescue us from a situation which is clearly out of hand?
Well, if you are very sick, if you are extremely sick, what you need is an honest doctor to tell you just how sick you are, because you're not going to take the severe steps that he's going to recommend, whether it's an amputation or something to do. Yeah. So the reality is here that there's serious action and invasive surgery that needs to be done. But unless you know the truth, unless you know the reality, you're not going to take it. So the first step is Eskom needs to understand exactly how dire the situation is. They don't understand. Government needs to understand how dire the situation is. They don't understand. So somebody needs to come in and tell them exactly how bad it is, and then maybe they will take the medication, painful as it may be, that needs to be taken.
I mean, who should go? You say that the board does not have a clue of how dire the situation is or what should be done. Should the board go? Should Andre de Ruyter go? And everyone else who's leading Eskom? Because clearly, as you've indicated, this doesn't seem like we're going to have to brace ourselves for load shedding for many years to come.
No, I think Andre de Ruyter and his CEO are good people. I actually happen to know them, and they're good men. But unfortunately, I'm not sure whether they've been restrained from saying what the truth is. But the fact is, to let them go now, it makes no sense whatsoever. What needs to be done is there needs to be an honest, open discussion with the board and with government to tell them exactly what's going on. Because I kid you not, the situation in Eskom is extremely dire.
Mr. Rossouw, maybe I'd just like to come in there. Look, you can be a good person, but you're simply not doing the job. The lights are off. That's the bottom line. So you can be a good person, but that we have to measure Doretta by whether the lights have been kept on or not. And quite frankly, the lights are not on.
Yeah, but I think you have to remember it depends on how much freedom they have got to do what they have to do, firstly. And secondly, to this day, there's still enormous political interference in Eskom. Let's take the local elections. All of a sudden, load shedding has stopped. Why? Because of political interference. There is significant political interference in Eskom. And I don't know what freedom Doretta and his COO have. I have not a clue, but I suspect very little.
Yeah. So what do we do then immediately? I mean, we've already reconciled as South Africans that this is how we're going to live our lives. What needs to be done? There's political interference, you say. You don't know how much leverage or leeway Andre Doretta is being given at Eskom. What then will solve this crisis to keep the lights on?
I think Eskom needs to bring on board somebody who can tell them the truth, because they don't actually believe their management, they don't believe Doretta, they don't believe their COO. So they've got to be told the truth, and they need to sit quietly and still, and so must government, and so must the president and all these ministers, and hear the truth as it actually is. Because once they hear it and once they understand it, trust me, action will be taken.
But why not tell the truth? This it's a very interesting discussion I'm having with why not tell the truth then? What is it that is being hidden in your view? Then simply tell the population that this is the crisis that we're in and we're hoping to fix it. You talk about political interference. You talk about a number of other things where perhaps maybe the CEO himself is not being given enough leg room to actually do his job. So what then? Why would you not tell the population the truth? What is at stake?
What is at stake here is the collapse of the South African economy. Let's just start there. It is going to happen unless they take action, firstly. Secondly, you don't need people within Eskom to tell Eskom what's going on, because they are compromised, seriously compromised. They can say only what they are allowed to say. So you need a completely independent and a serious voice to tell Eskom just how bad the situation is, and for them to sit up and listen. And also the politicians need to really get to the grips of what's really going on. And they're not doing that because they're kidding themselves that the situation is under control. It's not near under control, not near.
Mike Rossouw, appreciate your time on the show. Thank you very much for joining us, indeed, talking about South Africa's